G'day everyone, Nathan here at Glass for Classics. Now this is one we get asked for a lot. This is for the LC-LJ Holden Torana Coupe rear quarter windows. For many of you it may seem like a daunting task. It's not. It's a very straightforward task. Most of you will have either pulled the glass apart from the frame so that you can repair the frames, get them painted up. Now some of you may be using new glass, which we do supply. This particular customer is using their original glass. It is a genuine GTR, so they want to keep that for originality. Now, basic tools. We've got the setting tape that you're going to need to fit the glass back into the frame. This is the same product that Holden used from the factory. It is very, very easy to use. Other than that, pair of scissors and a razor blade and you are set to go. What we're going to start with, we're going to move these out of the way. For those of you running original glass, which is just over 4mm thick, which is the same as our reproduction glass, you're going to use 1.2mm setting tape. If you don't have it, give us a call, send us an email, we can send some out. If we've sent you the brand new glass, we will generally supply this with it. So we'll run this out, get this measured up. To start with, we're only going to do the top, the back and the bottom. Ignore the front edge for the time being. So we'll measure this out. When you're cutting this, give yourself an extra inch or two than what you actually need. All we're going to do now is pinch this in half. Just crimp it all the way along the entire length so that you've got a U shape or a V shape there. You don't need to be exact as long as it's roughly halfway and it's got a bit of a line in it to hold its shape. Alright, when we're setting this on the glass, one of the things that I do is I like to get some clear tape. We've just got some clear tape out of the desk drawer just to hold it. It saves you needing a second set of hands when you're putting this together. What we're going to do, we're going to sit this on the top edge, just put a little piece here just to hold it in location. Make sure it's sort of sitting more or less flush with the edge of the glass, or you can hang it past a little bit. We're going to ride it around the edge. Now I usually, just on the back edge of this turn, I like to put another piece just in there, just to stop it falling one way or the other off this. We'll continue around the back edge and across the bottom. Now we'll put one more piece again just in the bottom corner there. If we spin this back this way, just to make sure that again it's sitting centrally on this back edge, we'll put another piece of tape just in there. So what we're going to do now, this bottom corner, obviously there's a bit too much here, so we're going to start to just try and massage this a little bit. You shouldn't really need to put a cut in this. If you massage it, because this setting tape is pliable, it's not rubber, it's actually a type of butyl mastic. So if you massage this now, pulling that apart there, you'll get it reasonably flat around this corner. Don't stress about the sides where they're popping up, they will push in shortly. The next thing we're going to do, we've got some kerosene. Kerosene is what makes this tack off, and it's what's going to lubricate it to get it in the frame, but tack it off so it'll eventually bond and stick to the glass and the frame itself. So the bottom line is you can't use too much. So get it nice and wet. We've used this before. Give this a good wipe. See how it's nice and shiny? This is just going to make your life so much easier when you're trying to push it into the frame. As I said, this is acting as a lubricant as well, so it's going to just make it slide in nice and easily all the way along. You grab the frame, just slide that in gently. Lining that bottom edge up, lining the top edge up. Now that that's in, this will only need a reasonably gentle push. Sit it on the edge if you have to. Give that a good push. That is now sitting pretty good. If you need it, grab the rubber mallet. This is toughened glass. You are not going to hurt the glass. As long as you don't beat it with anything stupid, this is going to help. Now I like to give it a gentle tap along that top edge to make sure that it's in, and we can go and pinch. Now what's going to happen, these frames, particularly if the bottom corner has had rust and you've had to do repairs, the frame wants to constantly spring itself open. For this next piece, what we're going to do, we'll get rid of the excess through there. Grab your end frame. Don't put the setting tape on just yet, because what you're going to do is sit this in place through here. And what I generally do now is I'll grab some masking tape and wrap it around, because the frame, if it does want to keep springing open, you need to know exactly where it's located. So by going around it twice, that frame is now in the exact location. We can pull this piece back off again. And what we're going to do, we're going to grab our razor blade. In the corners down here and here, we now obviously have too much setting tape through here and through here. We're going to push the razor blade in, following the frame itself. We're simply going to press down there and press down there, so we have a nice clean mitre running through that corner. We'll flip it over. We're going to do the same again on the inside. Line it up with the mitre in the bottom corner. Press it down. Don't cut it, because you risk cutting the glass and making a mark. And we're going to cut it there. That is now ready for the end piece to go on. Right, now that we've got the main part of the frame done, the next is the upright piece. We're going to grab a bit more setting tape again. What we're going to start with, this one's slightly oversized, which is fine. Give yourself an extra inch or so of length. We're going to go and fold this in half exactly the same as we did with the first piece, all the way along. The next thing we're going to do is cut this at about a 45-degree angle on the end. It only needs to be rough to start with. Open that back up. Now I'm just going to prop the tape under here, so this is sitting up off the bench. And what you're going to do is sit this in place. It's not quite right, but what you can now do is, if you grab your razor blade again, sit that on top, press down with the razor blade, remove your bit of excess. Now you're going to have a nice clean mitre running through that corner. Making sure we do the bottom side as well. There. I've got a bit more tape just at the ready so that I can hold that in place so it's not going to move while I'm working on it. Slide our way along to the other end. Same deal. We're going to go and trim this back. You don't need to be too exact at the moment, because you're going to trim it off with the blade in a minute. A little bit too long, so take a bit more off. There we go. Now, if I line that up through there, that one is actually nice and smooth through here, so we're pretty good. If you need to, it's not a bad idea, the corner here, because you've got this part of the frame actually going to slide into here, it's not a bad idea to just remove the little bit of excess just in the corners so that it's not gripping. I can't stress this enough, I didn't mention it at the beginning of the video. Make sure you got a clean work surface. The glass is going to scratch really, really easily if you've even got any trace of metal filings or anything on it. We've just got cheap marine carpet. We replace it quite regularly here, but even if you've got some old carpet or a blanket or just something soft, just make sure you put something down. Anyway, we'll take the other end of this so it's held in place. We're going to do the same thing again, just wipe it with a bit of kerosene. We'll dampen this off. Give it another light wipe. Get that nice and glossy through there, and get our frame ready. Now this should be, as long as you taped it in the right spot, nice and straightforward, and you should be able to just tap it on by hand. I'll move this out of the way. Look at that, perfect. You've got a clean mitre through there. The mitre's lining up perfectly in each corner. So we'll go and put just the last couple of grub screws in, and we can start to clean the frame up. There are two in the top and the bottom. For the sake of time, I'm just going to put one in so that we can go and show you how to trim up the rest of this. Right, that can come off. Now, this next step, and I can't stress this enough, make sure that this is a brand new blade. If you slip with a brand new blade, you're almost guaranteed not to scratch the glass. If you slip with an old blade with a dull edge, you're going to scratch your glass, be it brand new or original. All we're going to do now, get all this out of the way, is we're just going to run around the edge of the frame, trimming off the excess. It will just pull off nice and easily. Around these hinges here, or the brackets there and the hinge in the front, what I normally do is actually just press the blade in. So we're not actually running the blade through that section, we're pressing it in. Same with the edge of it there. Press it in because you don't want to risk slipping. By doing that, we now have a nice clean cut all the way around. This, we can come and do this side as well. Press that down. Again, I'm not rocking it, I'm not running the blade back and forth in these sections. That's now nice and clean as far as the cut goes, along the straight edge. On this hinge side, it is going to be a little bit difficult to get underneath, so for the sake of time, I'm not going to get that all out right now. But again, we're going to cut underneath there, pull that off, and there, and the outside's the easiest facing all. You've got no brackets or anything in the way. I tend to lean the blade on about a 10 or 15 degree angle. Instead of cutting dead straight, I will normally instead of cutting dead straight, I'll lean it on a slight angle. What that does is if the setting tape shrinks back or moves at all, it means that it's not actually going to shrink back into the frame too far. It'll still end up nice and flush for the final job. Bottom corner, you just need to be careful that you don't scratch your paint. And just like that, you are done. Now, it is up to you. For cars that are actually going to be drivers and they're going to see wet weather, you're going to wash them down and hose them quite regularly. It's sometimes advisable just in the very top and bottom corners to get a small amount of just black silicone, make sure it's neutral cure, but just put a very small amount just in the top and bottom corners just in case you didn't get your mitre on the setting tape perfect. At the end of the day, if the car's going to be a nice weekend driver but chances are it's not going to see any rain or wet weather, leave it as it is. That is now a factory level finish on that piece of glass. And you can move on and do the other side now. So as I said, we do supply the setting tape, we also supply the glass. So if you do need either of those, feel free to get in contact with us. Our number is 1300 442 000. We are happy to send anywhere we need to in Australia. So hopefully that's made that somewhat daunting task a little bit easier for you. You can get your head around it. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. And all the best with the rest of the build.